Peace. You know what it is. Welcome in to the latest and the greatest episode of Men of a Certain Age. The Soup. As always, I'm Fro. I got my man DL from the ATL and my man Panero up there in the 716 holding it down for us. What's good with my boys, man?
Man, listen, a long week. Me and my former employer have went in a separate direction.
Stop right there. Say that again.
Me and my employer have went in separate directions.
Oh, damn. I hate to hear that, fam. What happened?
I am a person who is really about principles. It's never about money with me, right? It's always about principle. And the way our department was set up is that we get a group bonus. It's not a lot of money, but we worked hard for it, and I think we deserved it. So come to find out we didn't get it. And when they asked management, I wasn't in the office, I was doing some core stuff. But when they asked management why they didn't get it, he quote unquote said because we laughed too much. So I actually, like I said, I wasn't in the building when he said that. But when I came in, obviously they told me. I was so upset, I just left. I had to go do some core stuff anyway. So I came, left. The next day I was like, man, we all decided that we weren't going to come to work. So basically, I knew that I had to go out there at one point or another to at least give them my files and give them a piece of my mind, because I'm not going to let anybody talk crazy to me. I'm from Buffalo. Yeah. You're just not going to talk crazy to me or about me. I wanted to let them know, listen, man, you know, it's cool and everything. I'm not going to be anywhere where I'm disrespected. And that was that. I gave him the files and we went that way. And he was like, he felt like he was stabbed in the back. Man, listen. Y'all come in there speaking Spanish. I don't understand what the hell y'all saying. Y'all could be saying anything about me. Y'all be making all kinds of little jokes and shit. And y'all got your little buddy crew, which is cool. But I'll never be part of it because number one, I'm not a career employee, and number two, I'm not Spanish. It's cool. I have acquired a new set of skills that I'm going to use to continue to solidify and progress my financial future, and I'll be all right. No worries, man. No, none at all.
Doc, you needed some of them earbud joints that translate.
Yeah,
man.
man.
I saw that on the TikTok shop. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but shit, get you some of them buds. You could have heard what they were saying about you and shit, all that slick talk and shit.
I was putting plenty of it, so it's all good, man. Like I said, I'm glad I don't have to make that drive anymore. That's the one thing about 12 hours of my week are saved. You know, I'm cool.
How long was the drive? Every day?
Hour plus.
Damn.
Each way. So I'm gonna make the most of my time and make sure it works for me. No worries, man. None.
As anything is for sure is that you a maintainer, so it ain't no
reason we ain't worried about that.
Ever to doubt that you ain't gonna maintain, because that's what you've been since I've known you. Continue to maintain, my G.
No doubt. Appreciate it.
No doubt. Straight from the heart.
Yeah.
Panero, what's going on up there in the love? And I heard spring is showing a little bit up there. You know what I mean? What's the deal?
Spring is showing, but it ain't showing up. Shit. It's showing a little bit, but you know the town. It's raining right now. It's dark when it's light out. Shout out to my man Anthony Clark. He coined the term Buffalo is Castle Grayskull. That's exactly what it is here. It's just gray. You might go outside and be at the light on Bailey and turn around and see many faces, just heads spinning around and see, you know what I'm saying? He-Man out there. You're going to see everybody from Castle Grayskull in the town, man. It's great.
No doubt about it. Shout out to my folk up there in the 716 holding it down. Salute.
Let's go.
Before we get to cooking up this soup, man, I want to send a super duper heavenly birthday shout out to my pops. His birthday would have been tomorrow.
Renfro, no doubt.
You know what I mean? Love you, pops. Miss you. Only birthday.
But
on this episode of the soup, we coming to the end of March, so we like almost 90 days. Not quite 100 days into this administration. We're about to almost to the halfway point of the 100 days. They say that's really influential when the president gets in there in his first 100 days, what he does to get his administration rolling. And it is no doubt about it that this dude, Trump, has come out here and has been stirring the soup. I do say so myself. This week, it was a text message, not our text chain that we have going on. It was another text chain that jumped off, and it has some major information in there, man, about what the U.S. military is doing and how they're going to move and when they're going to strike. As they say, loose lips sink ships, and they actually send their plans to a reporter, Jeffrey Goldberg from the Atlantic, got the message. Could you imagine? Your phone go off, you pick up your horn, and you look at your horn, and it says Target Yemen. You know what I'm saying? What the hell, you Ace? When you got wind of this whole story, man, what was your thought pattern? What did it take you? Being an ex-military, and thank you for your service. You know what I mean? What was your thoughts?
I thought it was incredibly stupid, and it's no excuse for that. They literally Hillary Clinton lost an election over emails. These fools done text war plans literally to the general public. And for them to take the stance and say that, oh, it didn't affect everything went great, so on and so forth, it's nothing to worry about here. That's crazy, because who knows what other missteps they may have when it comes to things like that. And with the fact that there's American dollars and there's American reputation on the line, it's important that we maintain our state of respect in the world. And gradually, as a matter of fact, drastically, we're losing it, whether it be economically, whether it be socially. And now look at this, our military is a joke too now. It's more of the same from this guy, more of the same.
Panero, this is serious business. People's lives is on the line, and these people are sending it like they sending out their bracket.
Where's the outrage? That's where I'm coming from. Don said there was outrage. They was talking about locking her up with the emails. With Barack's tan suit, there was an outrage. But now you got this guy with war secrets going out into to the public, which is crazy. And the thing is, the Trump administration is going after Goldberg for getting it. He wasn't looking for it. Got it. So he made it public because I'm not supposed to have this shit. So again, this is the real DEI. You're putting people in positions that look a certain way. They're not supposed to be in that position. You're getting rid of 4-star generals, and you're putting a guy in from Fox News who don't know what the fuck he's doing, and this is what you get. This is what you get. So it's a fucked up situation, and like Don said, who knows what's next? Shouldn't somebody be fired over this shit?
It's no question that somebody should have lost their jobs, as they would say, off with their heads.
Yeah.
Had the shoe been on the other foot, had this been the Biden administration when this would have been going on, please, we all know that it would have been scorched earth. They spin it as it was no big thing. Oh, the strike was a success. There was no couch. That ain't the point of it, man. It's the point of it is that what could have. Imagine, once again, I would say this. Imagine if this was a different administration and a different reporter. Could you imagine had this happened under Barack Obama and Brett Hume got to get the damn text message about the stuff going off, or O'Reilly?
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? It's a joke, man, and they playing us, man.
Yeah.
Seriously. I wanted to share something with you guys from a congresswoman. Her name is Melanie Stansberry.
Stansberry, yeah.
I want to get into that real quick. So let's check this.
I think we have seen an unprecedented effort to not only dismantle the federal government, but the kind of self-dealing that, let's all be honest, we saw a lot of that during the first Trump administration, but we never saw an unelected billionaire placed in a key decision-making role that would literally be dismantling wholesale agencies, cutting thousands of federal jobs, ending contracts, data mining federal data, who had direct financial conflicts of interest with the federal government. And so I want to ask the sponsor of the bill, we've seen, for example, just a couple of weeks ago, as the FAA was infiltrated by Doge and by Elon Musk, it's my understanding that he replaced the communications contract for the FAA with his own Starlink program. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it's also my understanding that Mr. Elon Musk, who has also infiltrated NOAA, which is the agency that does our weather service and tells the Americans and the world that, what's going to happen with the weather, that There's also indications inside the agency that he would like to have SpaceX become the primary contractor for the satellite systems for NOAA. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And we've also heard that Mr. Elon Musk, who the DoD secretary almost gave access to secret war plans for China last week, is also angling to get billions of dollars in new contracts under the Department of Defense. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I don't know about all of you guys, but this sure looks like a scam to me. They're calling it waste, fraud, and abuse, but really what we see is a special government employee who's a private businessman. He's the wealthiest man in the world. And he is literally infiltrating these federal agencies that he has a personal financial interest in. He's cutting the programs. He's eliminating staff. And then he is essentially positioning himself to put into place private contracts. Now, I also want to take a minute to talk about some of the social programs that we're also highly concerned about, because as we know, our colleagues across the aisle passed a resolution, a budget framework a couple of weeks ago here in the House that is setting the stage for one of the largest tax breaks in American history to go to billionaires. So they're robbing the federal government. They're getting ready to give themselves massive multi-billion-dollar contracts. And then they're going to rob our most vulnerable members of our communities, low-income families. They're going to dismantle the Medicaid system. Now they're talking openly about dismantling Social Security. And then they're going to take those savings, which are you, the American people, and give permanent tax breaks to the same guy that is
stealing
the federal government and giving himself private contracts. This is a total scam. A total scam. Folks need to wake up. This is not about fraud and abuse. This is a scam. They are running a scam on the American people and on the federal government. And what this bill does, because we had a little bit of debate about this earlier, they're saying, oh, this just preserves congressional authority. This doesn't actually expand any authority. If that was true, then why the hell would you want to try to pass this bill? And if you read the underlying statute, since my colleague across the aisle alleged that I don't have good reading comprehension, we downloaded the original statute with the amendments that the underlying bill that is being heard here today would do to the underlying statute. And what it does is it eliminates Senate authority to stop this bad stuff from happening, because it essentially only requires a simple majority resolution in the Senate to gut hundreds of years of federal statutes creating agencies that help the American people so that Elon Musk can make more money. And that is what this bill is all about.
And that is Representative Melody Stansberry from New Mexico.
Nice.
Sam. So when you hear her run it down like that, P.
Someone protect this lady first off, because she's giving you the raw truth, and we love it. Shout out to Representative Stansberry. And what it says to me is, we've all seen the movie Casino, and you know how they go into the count room. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a guy saying, you know what, they're in the count room stealing. I got to go in there and check it out because they're stealing in the count room. Then he goes into the count room with a briefcase and takes money himself. Just because he's telling you someone else is stealing gives him the opportunity to go in and steal. This is exactly what it is. They're in the count room. They're stealing. They're doing all kinds of shit. Joe Pesci said, God forbid they forget to steal. You know what I'm saying? They're in there taking advantage of people. We're the people out there in the casino trying to actually win money, losing our money. The money's going to the count room. They're telling us that the count room people are stealing, yet they're going in there stealing. So it's a horrible situation. I'm glad that she is at the forefront and letting people know what's going on, because the way she speaks in layman's terms for people to understand, it's not a lot of jargon, not a lot of bullshit. She's straight up saying it's a scam and they're stealing. And that's exactly what it is.
Man, I mean, how alarming is what Rep. Stansberry just laid out?
It's not alarming if you pay attention. If you really pay attention and get past the fluff, and I know that we, on men of a certain age, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Hit your notification bell for 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. I know that we focus on other things as well in the culture. I mean, in American society. But if you pay attention to what's going on politically, you saw it was a setup from the get up. You know what I mean? Letting this guy have control over how the money is spent, where it's spent, so on and so forth. And if you look at the ramifications of it, not only is it bad for us, but this guy is literally on TV crying because his stock is down 34%. We have to go after these people who are reporting the bad news about Tesla. We have to do all these different things because of the fact that he has lost $200 billion when he's got $600 billion away. I think he aligned himself correctly with Trump because he knew he could massage his ego, and he knew that Trump respects money more than anything else. So who was Trump going to respect more than anybody else? He's going to respect the world's richest man. Once he realized that, and obviously he's not a general thinker, he's a very narcissistic and individual thinker. He realized that and took advantage of it, and now he's going with it. SpaceX taking over our weather, taking over NASA. You got Doge, FHA. You got Doge cutting USA, which is killing babies over in Africa. Farm aid here. China just rejected like $6 billion worth of beef or something crazy like that, and signed a contract with Russia. So there are a lot of little things that are happening because of the actions that this person is taking. Like she said, they are trying to destroy our bureaucracy from the inside out. They really are. Just pay attention.
I'm glad you brought up Elon. Let's jump into Elon's performance real quick. Guess where he went to put on his show? Can you guess where he went to talk?
China.
No, close. Fox News.
No.
My companies are suffering because I'm in the government. You just pointed that out a moment ago. Do you think it helps sales if dealerships are being firebombed? Of course not. And Tesla customers are being intimidated all over the country and all over Europe. Does that help Tesla? You have Tim Waltz, who's a huge jerk, running around on stage with the Tesla stock price, where the stock price had gone in half. And he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do. Creep. What a jerk.
Jerk.
Who derives joy from that? And it was pointed out to him that actually Minnesota, the state pension fund, is the major investor in Tesla. But he didn't care. He was so overjoyed by Tesla stock going up. Does that sound like a good person to you? I don't think so.
So it's like this. Boo hoo, dude. You know what I'm saying? He's sitting up there acting like everyday people who's worried about their Social Security check coming. Everyday people who work for the federal government, whose jobs have been cut. But we supposed to have some empathy, some type of sympathy for you, because you are, and really you're not really feeling no pain. You just losing money. You know what I'm saying? But then again, you got a whole another scheme over here to recruit to double what you lost in Tesla stock. When you see that clown up there acting like he's really hurting, P, what goes through your mind?
He's delusional. It's like he's a billionaire and he's delusional. It's
no, fam, no. He is the richest man on the planet.
And he has no empathy for anyone else. And he's delusional. Like, you can't control people's emotions. You're in business. If you're selling Teslas and people don't want to buy Teslas for whatever reason, that's on them. You can't control the emotions of another person. You can't be upset because someone doesn't like your car or your stock went down and somebody's elated by it. That's how they feel. It is what it is. Are you a businessman or not? Or are you a child? He's acting like a child, man. And the thing about these billionaires, because a lot of them haven't gotten it from the dirt, they've gotten it from inheritance, they don't know how to function in society. Like you said, there's people who have to answer questions just to keep their job. And here you are whining about somebody elated about your stock going down. Like, man, get the fuck out of here, man. It's horrible that we are in a situation where we got to watch these billionaires, the richest man on the earth, whine and complain about losing money when some people don't even know where their next meal is coming or when their job is going to be cut because of him. Man, get the fuck out of here.
Elon.
Yeah, like I said, he's a petulant child. And it's been obvious that he really can't take the weight of what he's doing. Like you said, he's about to fire another 140,000 people next week. But he was on stage with a chainsaw making light of the fact that he was cutting the government. And like we said last week, it's not just the government, those are people's lives. All those people who are in government, especially in the DMV area, are us. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of different things with him. And actually, I took the time to get a little bit of background on him. And I found out, obviously, we know he's South African, but we found out that his father invested in mines. And so that's the way that that his father came up with all the bread. And they were saying that during the 70s and 80s, those were quite possibly some of the worst conditions to work under as a human on the planet. So he has no empathy for the common man. None at all. And that's been since the beginning. He's always been rich. He's continued to get richer, and he doesn't care. So for him to sit there and complain and whine and woe is me over losing a couple of $100 billion when, like you say, he's set up for the comeback already with his fraudulent policies, at best laughable, because you're just experiencing, that's not even pain. Now you're just experiencing the discomfort of not getting everything that you want, like a spoiled child, like I said initially. And I want to piggyback on what Bro said. Up until Elon started flexing his political muscle, Tesla was an excellent stock. It had excellent reputation, it had an excellent brand growth. So I can understand why a Minnesota pension fund investor would say, hey, depending on when they got it, all right, you know what I mean? If they got it 2-3 years ago, a great company to invest in, you know what I mean? But right now, hey, it doesn't look like a wise investment.
It was innovative. It was new. It was like, okay, let's get in on this now while the getting is good. I understand the thinking on that. But at the same time, in 2025, you got the CEO trying to be an oligarch in the United States of America. And again, consequences and repercussions of the situations. And that's the reason why they're trying to tell him, man, get out of here.
Yeah.
And we want you to divest and just go on ahead and keep it moving. Because obviously, just listening to what the Congresswoman just was saying, he trying to be what was Daddy Warbucks. And
Contracts, yeah.
who he's trying to be, he's phasing out other company divisions of the federal government so that he can replace it with his companies. And that's why it baffles the hell out of me that this man can just come in, not even an American, can come in and start affecting our everyday lives in different situations.
That's the combination of being the wealthiest man on earth and being white. That's all that is.
Exactly.
Combination of white supremacy and money.
And hero worship, because Americans definitely worship him like he's some type of hero one way or another, which I don't understand, but hey. That's just...
As we continue to cook this pot of soup on this Sunday morning, man, please share, subscribe, comment down low, and hit that bell so you can get the soup when it's hot. We talked about last week's pod, man, we talked about our relationship with Canada and how the Canadians ain't playing no games. Prime Minister had a little something else to say too. It's funny, I almost said us, but had a little bit of something to say to Trump this week. Let's jump into that right quick before we get out of the politics of it all on this episode of The Soup.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over. What exactly the United States does next is unclear. But what is clear is that we, as Canadians, have agency. We have power. We are masters in our own home. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away. We can deal with this crisis best by building our strength right here at home. It will take hard work. It will take steady and focused determination from governments, from businesses, from labor, from Canadians. We will need to dramatically reduce our reliance on the United States. We will need to pivot our trade relationships elsewhere. And we will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations.
These Canucks ain't playing, Lord.
No, they're not. They're not fucking around. And what he's saying is we'd rather suffer and work through it than deal with you at all. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta respect it. I respect the fact that they're proud. They're not trying to be America Junior. They're Canadians. And they're like, yo, before we do anything, we're going to try to do it ourselves. Matter of fact, we're going to do it ourselves. We're not going to do it with y'all. We don't need you. And the fact that they do need us in certain areas, they're just not going to deal with us. They're going to get it from somewhere else. Thank you. Thank you, Agent Orange, for this. We appreciate it.
Craziness, man. I don't know if the audience heard it or not, but I really want to hop on Facebook and see what's going on with all those people who are avid Trump supporters who live in Buffalo. Because those are where the majority of white people I know live in Buffalo. So I just want to see how his administration is affecting them and their relationship with Canada. Because like we said in previous pods, Canada is like a suburb of Buffalo. We're like a suburb of Canada. So to see that it's actually that the Canadians are unifying, which is something Americans cannot do right now. There's nothing, I don't think, outside of sports that can unify Americans at this point. But because of the fact that Americans aren't unified, we're getting to see the Canadians dig in and be like, yo, listen, you want it, we got it. You know what I mean? It's like when friends turn to enemies, when your idol becomes a rival, whatever the case may be. The allegiance that we have with them, although historic and long-lasting, has been effectively destroyed by this guy in less than 100 days, like you said in the beginning.
Fast.
It's incredible. Get ready for more.
It's crazy, man. And again, it's like a setup. It's almost like he trying to pull a Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
Pull up to the border. We gonna take this. Will he get to that? We ain't even 100 days in of this administration yet. You know what I'm saying? God forbid what it look like a year from now.
Imagine, and not to cut you off, but think about what they said on Friday about Greenland. They said we're gonna have it. We are going to get Greenland. Well, we don't know whether it's going to take military force or not, but we're going to get it. How are you contemplating invade? When has the United States invaded anything?
Never.
Ever. We have never invaded someone unprovoked. It may have been the Spanish War when they blew up the ship, when Americans blew up the ship to provoke the war. Okay. It slips in Pearl Harbor where they let the planes fly and get under the radar. Okay, I can dig that. But we have never truly been the aggressor and just took over another country, especially something in the Western Hemisphere. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
It is truly, like I was said earlier, it's alarming. And you know who else ain't going? Mexico.
Oh no, they ain't going.
She ain't the prime minister. She is not going. Next week we gonna get into a little bit of the prime minister of Mexico and some of the scuds she been sending at Trump. You know, and again, he represents all of us, bro.
Whether we like it or not, right?
Yeah. And it's like, we're American. So it's like, he with us wherever we go. We go out the country somewhere, start talking, oh, American. Exactly. Yankee. However they describe us, man.
Yankee boy.
Yeah. And this dude has made us, as you like to say, he made us a what, P?
A mark.
United States of Dun-Dun-Duns.
A mark.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that is. Yeah, we mark.
You mark ass buster.
Definitely mark around here. Yeah.
You mark ass buster.
Yeah.
Mark ass, American ass, motherfucker.
Yeah, man. Exactly. It's like, yo, man. But it's funny. When you know what's going on Crackbook, and I called it Crackbook back in the day because
long time ago.
Because once you get on it, you can't get off it. You might have to go to rehab. You'd be fighting to grab your horn and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
See what's going on
You'd be looking like Pookie from New Jack.
Exactly. And that's what drove me off Crackbook was Trump.
Yeah.
And our brethren from where we grew up and became men at in Buffalo, New York. It was too many people on there, like P was saying, that would get my pressure up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People that, you thought was an A-alike. People you thought that had some sense showed they had none, and they was standing on nothing. They was basically water. They was gonna go wherever the tide took, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, stay strong, fam. Stay strong, man.
Don't do it, Don.
You need to call me at you, man.
If your finger starts shaking, we're here for you.
The crack book, fam.
Don't do it.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I will stay away. I appreciate y'all.
Man.
If we ain't got your back, who got your back? You know what I'm saying, man? So stay strong, baby.
When you call us from the ER, we're going to know why.
Exactly. Smoking bogey after bogey. Where he been? You know what I'm saying? We know exactly where he been. Oh, you been over there, fam. But as we continue to cook, man, I'm gonna bring it back to the culture. All right. And we are men of a certain age. We are black men of a certain age. And nothing bothers me more than when I see black men, especially black men of a certain age, airing out their dirty laundry over the air. So I know how you feel about each other. Don knows because it's on the media. Once it gets out to the social media, man,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. As I call it, the internets. Once it gets on the internets, it's a wrap. And I'm saying all of this to say LBJ and Stephen A got back at it again, man. We talked about this a couple pods, and the soup was still simmering. It wasn't quite done. They were still adding some onions over here, some celery over here, some tomatoes. They were still adding to the soup, man, and it began to boil over. First of all, LBJ, and for those who may not know what those initials stand for, that's LeBron James. So that guy, LeBron, he made a special guest appearance on the platform.
McAfee.
He went on with, what's his name?
Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee. That's my guy. I fuck with McAfee.
Pat McAfee.
Yeah, Pat.
So he goes on McAfee. So let me go at this one first. Of all the platforms LBJ could have made his special guest appearance on, not only does he have his own platform, but all these other platforms he could have went on. His stands, he could have went on Club Shay Shay.
Could have went on 7 p.m.
He
in Brooklyn.
He could have got on with Mello. He could with Teague. He could have hollered at All the Smoke. He could have went and hollered at Willie, Wallow and Gilly.
Right.
Knuckleheads.
He could have hollered at Q and Darius, the Knuckleheads.
Jefferson.
He could have hollered at us, gave us that look. But he went to air out another black man on a European's platform. What about that? How you feel about that?
I think that he did it purely strategically. Number one, he was in Indiana that night playing the game, right? And then number two, what I think that he really wanted to go at ESPN. He wanted to make sure that ESPN and Stephen Smith were aware of it. So he had the audacity to go on ESPN's most popular show, which is definitely McAfee, right? And have this interview. It basically was like, yeah, Stephen A., I'm in your house. What you gonna do now? You know what I mean? You ain't got no choice but to confront it. And from that angle, I do understand why he did it. I do understand the angle where he could have did it on different shows because of his relationships with other people. But I honestly think that he did it just because he wanted to bring the fight to Stephen A. Smith by getting on his network and saying, listen, this is going to cause more. This is going to cause more for me. This is going to cost you more than it's going to cost me because I'm LeBron James and you're not. I can do what I want. That's what I think. I think it had little to do with color. I think it had more to do with trying Stephen A. Smith in his own backyard.
P.
Don is excellent because you remember when DMX told Nas, "That's your man.
Mm-hmm.
That's your man." So Don defended McAfee pretty well and convincingly also, I might add, Don, because that's your man's in them. But it makes sense for him to do what he did. Strategically, it made sense. He did it because like he wanted to get under Stephen A. Smith's skin. It made sense. But as a black man, it does not make sense to me. When you have platforms like Men of a Certain Age, you have platforms like 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, you have platforms where people, you got your own platform. You got platforms of people who look like you, where you can air your grievances out and probably come to a better solution. It's like you're going to McAfee because you want to battle with Stephen A. instead of coming to some type of solution between two black men, which it should be. You know, the thing about LeBron is he helicopter parents because he didn't have a father in his life. So he overdoes it when it comes to his son. And that's why he went at Stephen A. the way he did, which I thought he shouldn't have done. But in his mind, because he didn't have a father, like I said, it's like helicopter parenting. I got to watch everything my son doing. I got to make sure nobody disrespects him. I got to do this, that, and the third. Instead of allowing your son to become a man in the situation you put him in. So, again, you had other platforms. You should have shouted at us. You know what I'm saying? On some real stuff, I got Lamar Jackson just hit me up because I said something on TikTok about him being the greatest. And he hit me back. I appreciate that because I'm a man of a certain age. I should have put that up on the joint for us next time.
It's all good. Yeah, let's do it.
So let's take a look at these YouTube clips on LBJ and Stephen A. one time. And then we'll come back and take it off the fire.
But I will say that Stephen A., the way he reacted was so lame and weak.
Can I close this segment? Can I close this segment with asking Big Perk this question? Just a yes or no answer, Perk. God rest his soul. If Kobe Bryant was still alive, with Mind Your Game, Kobe, LeBron, that would have absolutely positively been box office, must see. Would LeBron have done that podcast? I'm just asking.
Well, I don't know, but let me say. Let me say this.
That's his question. I don't know the answer. I was just asking.
I think he would, but look, let me say this.
I suggest that he be happy with the things that I haven't brought up. I never really discussed why you were not at Kobe Bryant's memorial service. I never really brought up or discussed.
He was, though.
Not attend Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction when that man was directly responsible for you capturing a championship for the first time in your career. I brought up none of that. I didn't bring up the fact that even though when people had asked, you had alluded to what had happened tragically to your son, and thank God he's okay with his heart condition. I didn't bring up the fact that even though you couldn't go to the Hall of Fame induction of Dwayne Wade weeks earlier, you were out of the country on business. I didn't bring that up. That's your personal business.
Who had a better week, LeBron James or Stephen A. Smith?
They both had an awful week. LeBron, he's too big to be that type of bully. To bully Stephen A. and to bully Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst is a sweet person, man. He's just trying to do his thing. And I've always liked LeBron, but him being a bully, it turned me off, Dan. But I will say that Stephen A., the way he reacted was so lame and weak. And Stephen A. is a good dude, man. For him to react, LeBron, like I say, I blame him for starting the bullying, going on Pat's show just bullying people. Because LeBron, he's a control freak. He knows everything he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows everything he's doing. But he knew when he walked up to Stephen A. what he was doing. But the way Stephen A. reacted, going on Gilbert's podcast, talking tough, and come on, man, you're better than that. So there's only losers, Dan, in this scenario. Us as the sports media. You got the biggest star in the game. You probably got the biggest star on television. And they both look bad, in my opinion. And what bothers me the most, they both good dudes.
All right, stop it there, UH. Now go to the next one.
Okay.
You ready?
No, it started off with
I didn't want to address it. Yeah, sure. I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it. But since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
You already been on to talk about that.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait till the video and drop so you can address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously. And like another, he completely like.
Is LeBron talking white boy right now?
Never in my.
Is he talking white?
Never would I ever.
Is he talking white boy because he's in a room full of white boys?
People to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about it. Oh my God! He's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair and his tidy whities on the couch.
Go to the next one.
Relax, bro. Relax. Like, seriously.
And welcome back to NBA Cinema. So we got to talk about this, man. Ryan Clark, remember he tweeted out that Brian talking about his baby was beautiful on Pat McAfee's podcast, and people called him out about some of his takes about Bronny and LeBron the entire time. And we're going to go back over some of that, but he had a recent take where he changed his tune a little bit, and people are under his comment section. If you want to read it, just check the videos on X under the comments, but they've been going at Ryan Clark, and I thought it was interesting. Some footage resurfaced of with Stephen A. interviewing LeBron.
How big are you right now? I heard you're about 25 pounds heavier than you was last year. Is that true?
No, not 25 pounds. I'm about 20.
About 20 pounds.
Yeah, probably.
What have you been eating? What you doing gaining 20 pounds?
Wheaties.
Wheaties. That's what it is. That's what it is. Are you going to be hard against the Los Angeles Lakers and Kobe Bryant? Any fantasies about that at all?
Oh, big go.
I said, have there been any fantasies about it? Now, but you were just upset the other day with the taco incident.
Yeah,
What ticked you off about that? This economy, there's some broke people out there. That taco meant a lot to them.
No, it did. You got the. Yeah, I guess when you put it that way, you put it that way, man. We up 12 points. We missed more free throws. They went crazy after that.
Yes, they did go crazy. A mastermind, a billionaire. And see, that doesn't seem to be about that.
Basketball's gonna take care of that. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about it. Oh my God! He's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair and his tidy whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get
but you're like, relax, bro. Relax.
So what does it do to that narrative now? How does LeBron running up on Stephen A. help the narrative? It doesn't. Because the narrative, after that, you're going to have to do a whole lot of damn fighting.
I think it got personal because LBJ, as we talked about last week, he wants to be considered by everyone that he's the greatest. And Stephen A. says all the time that for him, MJ is the greatest. And LeBron has a problem with people thinking that he is not the greatest. So I think his dislike for Stephen A., his animus, I should say, his animus for Stephen A. stems from that. Period.
I think that Stephen A. is, like I said, he's overstated. With the explosion of sports, you have the explosion of sports personalities. And sometimes he hops out of his lane, like I always say. You know, the thing about me with Stephen A. is that I don't think he deserves the reverence that he gets outside of the sports arena. And inside the sports arena, because he's because his job is to help people form opinions and think about different things, he's going to sensationalize things. Now, obviously, him disrespecting the memory of Kobe Bryant by saying LeBron James was there was completely false because he was
Right, he was there. Right?
You know what I mean? But he sensationalized it in order to get things going. Then he releases a video of him. Then LeBron sends him back a video of him boxing because Stephen A. said he would sock LeBron. Come on, bro. It's silly and it's grandizing something that really isn't that important, but it's also important it is important in the way that we prioritize things. You know what I mean? You're looking at someone who is obviously one of the biggest humans in the world as far as popularity is concerned, against someone who is just supposed to be reporting on that person. So it's the fact that he's the face of ESPN creates an interesting dynamic. It's interesting to see those two sides clash.
I'm gonna equate Stephen A. to Charlemagne. Once you get to that level that you crossed over, people value or want to hear what you have to say. We always sit up here talking about, man, why the hell are they talking to Charlemagne about politics? And who do they talk to? On the sports side of the world, they talk to Stephen A. It's like they pull in Charlemagne. And yeah, Stephen A. talks too much. And that's the reason why sometimes, or majority of the time, no matter where you are on him, that he says things that don't make sense or don't add up. He said earlier this week that Nolan Richardson had passed away. And obviously Nolan Richardson, the great coach from Arkansas, is still with us.
Wow.
So, when you talk so much like he does, you just talk. I'm filling up content, damn on whether it's true or not. You would think that he wants to be factual in the stuff that he says, but we all know he is not. And that stems from up high with our president. He don't keep nothing 100. You know what I mean? We can't hold him to what he says. Why are we going to hold this man on what he says? P, what's your thoughts on this whole stupidity before we wrap this up, man?
Here in the town, we call that diarrhea of the mouth, constipation of the brain. Get that. But shout out to Coach Chuck Dickerson. We used to listen to GR55 on the regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, I think that's a rest in peace. Shout out to Coach Chuck Dickerson. Again, I agree with the fact that because Stephen A. holds Michael Jordan to that standard of being the best player ever, that gets under LeBron's skin. There's a possibility that none of this would happen if Stephen A. would just say LeBron's the greatest, but that's not his opinion. That's not my opinion. We are entitled to our opinions. LeBron James is a top 5 player. He's a great player. I'll call him Karl Malone with a handle. You know what I'm saying? He's huge. And he can handle, and he can shoot it, and he can distribute it. You know what I'm saying? That's what Magic Johnson can jump. You know, exactly what it is. And if he had speed or whatever, because Magic was slow. Yo, shout out to Vernon Maxwell too, man.
He doing a podcast too.
Boys have it, man.
Yeah, he's doing the podcast. He's doing it.
But Stephen A. has that syndrome, that diarrhea of the mouth, constipation of the brain. He talks entirely too much. He's given false information. I'm actually not a fan of Gary Gnu, but the thing is, I don't like the way that LeBron approached him, and this is why we are where we are. It was unprofessional of LeBron to approach him that way.
Approach nigga. Plus, somebody told me
approach.
I'm a approach nigga, man. Yeah. Keep me in mind.
Approach nigga. Right. Shout out to Ghost Demon, man.
Yeah. Then it's cold, baby.
Yeah, man. Before we wrap this, man, it's only right on this now Sunday afternoon on the East Coast. Shout out to my East Coast brethren. You know what I'm saying? Before we wrap this soup up and take it up off the stove, man, on this Sunday afternoon, we gotta get into the good Reverend Doctor Marvin Sapp before we jump off of here. You know, we are men of a certain age, so there's no question that we were raised in the church, somebody's church, going in the church, vibing, doing all types of crazy stuff. At one time for me, church was like almost like school. I would meet up with my play cousins. They would my cousins, and then we be in the back pew, ribbon on people. Pastor, ooh, Rev ain't right. You know the types of stuff in the church, man. And the church has his place. Whether we are avid members of the church right now, but we know what the church does. The church does good, but doesn't mean the people that are in charge of the church
Right.
do things. And with that said, man, let's jump into Mr. Marvin Sapp, and then we're gonna come back and take this soup off the stove.
Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. It's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need
Got his
everyone
Cuban link bracelet on,
to plant a seed of $100. Because again,
and his Rolly, presidential Rolly.
and this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm gonna have y'all come to the altar and give it because I need to see 1,000.
Is that his back sweating like that?
Yes.
Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk.
Ooh, I want to see
Y'all
it.
start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints.
Then he gonna call them saints.
Close the doors. Close the doors.
UH, man, I'm coming straight to you in the heart of the black church. And for a lack of a better word, the Mecca of the black church. When you see the good Reverend Dr. Marvin Sapp, never could have made should have changed that song, never gonna get it. You know
Never would have paid it.
Exactly, fam. When you see this man up there with his Rolly, with his Cuban link on, with his Cuban link around his neck, with his bent parked out front, telling the good parishioners of whatever church that is or his that we need 40 gur. And tell the ushers, I used to be an usher, man. I enjoyed being an usher in church, man. You know what I mean? Have my hand behind my back.
Your back, son.
And hit them with the hand and then take them to the seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You know what Fro was doing? He
Come
was ushering and kicking it at the same time.
Man, I was greeting them. I was greeting them, man.
The Lord says I should get your number at the end of the service.
Doing my thing.
Yeah.
People coming down my aisle because I'm serving it out like that.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, UH, man, as I stop with the craziness, continue with the craziness, because that clip of that man saying that he needed 40 gur and for the ushers to chain the door.
Lock the door.
And I need to see. We're not going to pass the plate. I need you to come up here and go into your.
I need to see you.
Pull your knot out and peel off a couple of Benjamins. What's going on, UH?
What's going on is capitalism over community. You know what I mean? That's basically what it boils down to again. He obviously is in a situation being a Grammy Award winning artist, being a gospel artist, and obviously being the head of his church to go ahead and handle his financials easy. You know what I mean? 40,000, why don't you take that off of your royalties? Why don't you take that? If it's really that bad, you have to be asking, if your financial situation is really that dire, that you have to ask the members of your community, which are the most downtrodden, who are entirely relying on you as far as their faith leader, their spiritual leader, to scam them financially. I can't say scam because you can't put no price on religion, but to take advantage of their religious devotion is deplorable, because he obviously has the means to take care of it himself if it's really that serious, without leaning on people who are struggling to pay their bills, who are putting their faith in you to give them a motivational message or inspiration to go further. But you're financially, which is part of the holistic part of any American, but you're financially putting them in under undue stress when you have the ability to take care of it. I don't agree. I think it's deplorable. I think it's exploitive, and I don't promote that type of behavior. Now, as far as the church is concerned, we all know that's always been a big problem with the church as far as where the money is being allocated for. Like you said, the man got the bent dog outside, he got the Cubans on. So it's always been a question of that. But like I said, and that's why I corrected myself, you can't put a price on what's on somebody's soul. What they feel is the best way to take care of their soul, because it's their most personal possession, is their choice. But I think that a lot of religious leaders, I'm not just going to say preachers, but a lot of religious leaders take that and manipulate that knowledge to the point where they're taking advantage of people who are just simply trying to be good people and showing that they care about the institution that's helping them. So I don't like it at all.
For every Marvin Sapp, there's 10 that are righteous in their teachings. I just want to say that before I turn it over to you, Panero.
Yeah, in the words of Cat Williams when he was on Friday After Next as Money Mike, pimpin'. That's what that sounds like to me. Y'all hoes gonna have to pay me. I'm giving you the word. I'm telling you how it is. And matter of fact, if you're not gonna pay me, I'm gonna kidnap you. Lock the doors. You ain't leaving here without paying me. So it's just horrible. And I'm glad Les said that there's, for every one guy that's like that, there's 10 that are out there actually true to it and true to giving the word and true to uplifting people. Because this guy, doesn't he have money? Why are you taking money from these people, man? And they probably already tithed 10% to him, but you want an extra 40 grand for that day? Come on, man. That's just straight. Isn't gluttony a sin? That's straight gluttony, man. And he should be ashamed of himself.
And with that, I'm going to say amen.
True indeed.
And before we get out of here, before we take this soup off the stove, man, we're gonna leave the ratchetness of the podcasting wars for another episode.
Yes, sir.
You got anything good that you want to share with the folk before we roll out of here?
Yeah, man. It's a two-part thing. This week on the Atlanta Report, we had a rapper, Young Scooter, pass on Friday night on his birthday. There was a domestic disturbance. The cops were called out. Somehow or another, him and his man ran out the crib. Actually, not too far from here, probably about 3 miles, going east. Ran out the crib. His man comes back to the crib, but they couldn't find Young Scooter. When they did find Young Scooter, they found that he had jumped over a gate and cracked his femur.
Wow.
Which resulted in him ultimately dying on his birthday Friday night. Now, of course, the internet, when there's cops involved and there was some gunshots earlier, and maybe that's why they were running, they were saying that the cops shot Young Scooter. They did not discharge the weapons at any point during the confrontation. But he ran from the cops and obviously paid for it with his life. That's what I want to talk about today, running from the cops. I'm a big fan of YouTube videos where the cops chase you, not chase me, but chase the people and pit them. And, you know what I'm saying? Arkansas, Georgia State Patrol, Florida State Patrol. I'm a big fan of that stuff because I never understood a simple thing. You may have a fast car, but you can't outrun that radio.
No, you can't outrun helicopters and shit.
Yeah.
Tracy ass.
Can't outrun the radio.
And you can't outrun a helicopter or a radio or dogs, any of that stuff. Yeah. So if you're ever in a situation, this is from a man of a certain age, right? If my younger people or people our age are ever in a situation where you have to deal with law enforcement, do what they say. Get to live another day. They have lawyers out here. They have people out here who care about you, who want to see, who are be willing to help you, regardless of what situation you may be in. There are people out there who are willing to help you. But you don't give yourself a chance if you run from the cops. That's all I have to say.
Wow.
Before we come to you, Panero, since he took us down into the ratchet hole, let me show you some real ratchetness one time.
What you about to hit him with? Oh, boo. Okay, hold on. I got you. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing this.
You see this boy on the interstate. So this is a murder for hire. So the dude in the black car is the hitman. So
Yeah, this is what you was talking about.
So he don't stop the traffic on the interstate, yo.
This boy goes to the other side of the car to get his gun. He's trying to get his gun.
Why?
But dude start busting at him
Look at this. Broad daylight.
on the highway.
Wow. Damn.
Now, the thing about it is, you really think you're going to get away with this? How do you think
That's a wild cowboy shit right there.
It's a sad situation out here in these streets with these young rappers, man. They part gang, all the way gang, and then try to be a rapper and become famous. It's a real dangerous game, and I just wanted to share that before we got out of here, man, because we only got one life to live, man. Try to live it to your fullest. Stay away from fools. I digress.
Yes, sir.
What you got for us, P?
So here on Men of a Certain Age, we don't brag about the knowledge we have of ourselves. But what we will do is tell you this. Don't allow a man to come on your property and build his heaven and tell you yours is in the sky.
Real.
That's for men of a certain age, man. That's from the heart, man.
Wait a minute. I deserve a...
One more time for men of a certain age. Don't allow a man to come on your property and build his heaven and convince you that yours is in the sky.
Those is words from Panero from the 716, and it's for always and forever. This is the same old soup. We just reheating it. Until next Sunday, peace.
Peace to my guys.